So we haven't watched a ton of cable news recently, but we assumed with mass layoffs underway across the U.S. economy, an egg shortage, crumbling cities, the prospect of a third world war looming on the near horizon, we assumed we knew what the other channels would be covering, because there are an awful lot of threats out there. What we didn't know until we tuned into MSNBC and CNN the other day was that all of those threats go by a single name, and that name is Mr. George Santos. George Santos. Weeks into his new job as a freshman member of Congress, and just months from his previous life of near total anonymity, George Santos has somehow transformed into the single most dangerous and historically significant figure on the global stage today. George Santos is like 9/11 in human form.
What's up, everybody? Major Retired Richard Ojeda here, and get out your Fox News bingo cards. Did you have Tucker defending George Santos? Then you get a marked off space, because he did just that on his show Thursday night, and he may get the Academy Award for his performance.
Nothing will ever be the same now that George Santos is here. You will never forget the moment you first saw George Santos. Where were you when George Santos was elected? It's a story you will tell your grandchildren.
Can you keep up with all the Santos lies and controversies? He is now out-trumping Trump in terms of flooding the zone with excrement.
Not just saying that he played volleyball, but he had a scholarship, that he slayed teams from Harvard and Yale.
People didn't decide because they thought he was somebody totally different.
The voters did not elect you, Mr. Santos. They elected a version of you invented by your imagination. Sadly, George Santos represents so much that is wrong today. Lies, denial, and the death of shame.
The first thing you'll notice is that while Santos has a Hispanic background, Tucker didn't go out of his way to butcher his name as he does with Hispanic Democrats. Imagine that. Also notice that Tucker describes him as, quote, 9/11 in human form. So it would appear that only Republicans can make light or odd comments about 9/11 without being accused of being unpatriotic.
It's not just that George Santos claimed that he once played volleyball in college. Played volleyball in college. It's worse than that. Indescribably worse. George Santos told other people out loud, and CNN can exclusively confirm this, that he had a volleyball scholarship, perhaps the most coveted credential in collegiate sports. But he didn't. It was all a facade. There are reports tonight that he did not actually work at Citibank. He did not work at Citibank. No volleyball scholarship, never worked at Citibank. What percentage of the people who voted for George Santos under false pretenses would have done so had they known he never played volleyball and never worked at Citibank? We can only guess, obviously a very small percentage. So ignore the Chinese spy balloon, ladies and gentlemen. George Santos.
But all of this is not truly surprising, as the Republican majority would be in jeopardy without Santos, and Fox News is very much aware of that fact. The constant mask of populism just gets slung right off when Republican power is threatened, and Tucker is free to throw as many punches for the GOP House as long as he gets a check afterwards. I hope that seat in hell is extra cushioned for him. Now, while Tucker can embrace the sarcasm here, his loss on the irony is pretty clear. Santos is under multiple investigations, which seems to be Tucker's favorite kind of person in the Republican Party. Santos is now, as of Sunday, facing allegations of sexual harassment. Santos has been, while altogether horrible, a perfect example of the modern-day MAGA GOP. He lied to his voters, he made up a persona to sell to these people, and then, when he got his power, all of the lies came out. Not much unlike Trump, except Santos has a much smaller base. Even the county GOP in his district has cut ties with him, and, to their credit, amplified the concerns of the constituents who do not want him to remain in that seat. But again, Fox News and especially Tucker Carlson sell a very fake version of populism and the popular vote, and it really depends on who is in power. Think about it. If a Democrat was facing all of these allegations, a carbon copy of the same thing that have been revealed about Santos, do you really believe that Tucker would be so cheeky about it? Fox News had a meltdown over Obama's tan suit and his preference for sandwich toppings. It's all manufactured crap to make people hate the other side. It all really does does seem like a big joke to Fox if you think about it. They make very loose comments about the insurrection in 9/11, but when you point out their role in it and creating a pressure cooker for January 6th, they get pretty serious, even in facing lawsuits. Fox News continues to push the big lie and talking nonsense about the Democratic Party, but makes light of the GOP betraying the trust of their voters. If there was any hope that Fox News may change its tune with the lawsuits and consequences they face from the big lie, it's pretty evident that the 118th Congress is hell-bent on making Tucker the worst version of himself and the biggest cheerleader for the MAGA GOP. And that's a fact. Sappers clear the way, airborne all the way.